Welcome to the Diversity Connector podcast, where we explore the rich tapestry of human experiences. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and together as we dive into conversations that bridge cultures, challenge stereotypes, and celebrate the unique perspectives each of us brings to the table. Each episode is a journey through stories and insights from a kaleidoscope of voices, each sharing their colorful narrative. Whether you're at home, on the go, or just anywhere in between, you're now part of a community that values understanding, inclusivity, and the beauty of diversity. So plug in your headphones, get comfortable, and let's connect through the power of our shared stories. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Diversity Connector podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Diversity Connector. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young man. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Gertrude. My name is Easton Dean. I'm actually touring Southeast Asia at the moment. I'm based out of Bali, Indonesia. And so I'm 32 years old, and I'm actually from Jamaica. So instead of saying, hello, everybody says wagwan, right? So bringing that to the tribe, just a little bit more spice in there, right? So, from Jamaica, I migrated to the United States at the age of 11 years old, and I grew up in Florida. During my childhood to teenage years, I played a lot of sports in that time, and I was also in a program called HOSA, so it's Health Occupation Students of America, and that's for future doctors, future nurses, any healthcare professional that wanted to get into that field. We actually had a specific program for that. So in my time doing that, I was actually recruited to Thomas University to join their biology program and also to play soccer in college too. So I attended Thomas University in Thomasville, Georgia, and it was actually a blessing to me to go to a school like that because it was a very small university. So everyone knew everyone, right? And it was a lot of inclusion in there where the class sizes was about 10 students to one professor. So that's how small the university was. Now, going to that school, I got a chance to meet a lot of different people from a lot of different cultures in a lot of different countries, especially for playing sports. So one of the best parts about doing that, I got a chance to learn about, how everyone operates, especially on the field in soccer, because, we all have one common goal, which is to, win a championship, right? And together, that's the only way we're going to be able to do it. We can't do it by ourselves. So in order to go ahead and do so, we had to learn about each other. So, they paired us up a lot of times. We went out on outings, learn, what people celebrate, how they celebrate certain things, the foods that they eat. And let me tell you, I got a chance to experience a lot of great foods. And I think that's a part of why I love, different cultures so much. It was definitely the food at first, right? But after that, I wanted to explore a little bit more. And I was actually introduced to a network marketing company in my early 20s, and it was based around travel. And I got my first taste of really, experiencing travel around the world. However, the company also had a really amazing trainer. His name was Marcus Setta, and I got a chance to learn a lot of his teachings. which then, I implemented later on in my life, especially, being around the world and seeing how different cultures handle different situations. It has helped and shaped me to find a lot more things within myself that I can relate to them. And ultimately, that's what I wanted to do for the world, right? So I decided within Marcus Etta's teachings and, coupling up with people that I've met, I wanted to bring together something that I can find within me to give everybody else. So I found something called the champion energy. The champion energy stems from the love within, the things that you like to do, or what you love to do, excuse me, and what you feel when you're doing those things. And what I realized is everybody has that. And it's just learning how to bring that forward. So I've taken upon myself to actually go ahead and finding ways of how to do that for everybody in the world. So I've been places from Africa to Asia to South America, and playing sports with a lot of these different cultures where soccer is like the world's most popular sport, as they say. So everywhere I go, I always try to play a pickup game with someone in different communities, because you can definitely see how welcoming they are. Because you're doing something that they love, of course, right? So playing soccer with a lot of different people, you're playing with the kids in different villages, and then you're seeing like how they're living and how they operate and how they communicate with each other, and how they uplift each other is so much different everywhere you go. So I love the fact that I was able to go ahead and find these different things through sport. And it has shaped me so much more into a better leader, not only from Marcus Etta's teachings through personal development, but just those hands-on experiences of finding out, how people come together as a team for one common goal. And once you have a common goal that you share with somebody else, they're going to make sure they do whatever it takes. And then you also have to rise to the occasion and do whatever it takes. So the best part about doing that is to get to know the star players on your team, which is everybody around you that is, on the same path as yourself or who you come across, right? So finding out how they operate, what's the best thing for them, what gets them going, what doesn't get them going, and formulate a proper plan to move forward to actually go ahead and be better with them. So it has helped me so much more as a person, and I'm growing so much more about it, where it has just shaped so much for me. So I have both my parents, they're exceptional people. I have 5 brothers, 2 sisters. I'm the baby on my mother's side, and of course, I am the second oldest on my father's side. So I get a little bit of both, So I get to understand the middle child energy and, of course, the baby energy. So I know how to operate in both of them, and it's definitely helped me out so much in life to understand a lot more people. So I've learned a lot from my parents. They are both business people. My mother owns a nursing home. My father's a fashion designer. So I've been around, a lot of different diverse people, especially, through the nursing home. I got a chance to, help my mother, especially with my biology field, because I wanted to be a doctor at one point. And then, of course, my dad with, business and customer service, and just seeing how he operates in high pressure environments, needing to get something done. So it has definitely shaped me and molded me into the person that I am right now. Now, when it comes to my siblings, right, they always say like sibling rivalry. We didn't really have sibling rivalry, right? It was more so uplifting each other and seeing how we can be better for each other. So I definitely respect my siblings so much. And they have imprinted so many things and instilled so many things in me that I bring forth to a lot of people now. My brother, one of my oldest brothers, he played college soccer in high school. Also, my sister ran track. They were both on the honor roll, and of course, I went to the same school as them. So I wasn't looked at as myself. I was looked at as their little brother, and I had to do twice the amount of things. So a lot of pressure was on me in the beginning, and I just worked so hard just not to just live up to the name of them, but to create my own name, right? Because my whole life I was kind of like the underdog in the story where, oh, you have to do this because your brother or your sister did this. So I wanted to, um, tap into something that can help me to be better. And I think that's where I found the champion energy is figuring out in the specific moments that you can be greater and you can be better than your yesterday and you can be greater than the name that they put on you, right? So my brother and sister, I actually, became an honor roll student. And on top of that too, I was in the Hall of Fame in high school and going into college also. So definitely lived up to the hype, right? And now I'm just, touring the world, looking at different cultures, embracing myself, finding that inner peace that everybody's, yearns for, and in helping other people to do the exact same thing. So I love what I'm doing right now and looking forward to helping so much more people, reach their champion energy and also, including a lot more people in what they're doing because once you have a team around you, you can go far, right? So they always say, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with a team. So that's just more so where I'm at.
Oh, wow. I'll tell you, Easton, you are wise beyond your age. It's just so fascinating to listen to your story, your background. And now here you are in Southeast Asia, a young Black man in this environment. So we're going to delve a little bit into what have been your experiences so far. So you've explored various cultures around the world. Can you share how these global experiences have shaped your understanding of diversity and inclusion, especially in the context of leadership and team building?
Fantastic question. Thank you for that. So, upon touring, I started out my first ever trip, of course, was migrating to the States, right? And being in the area that I was, well, let me start from Jamaica for a second. So in Jamaica, they say our motto is out of many, one people, right? So out of many, we're one. And you have so many different cultures that come in or migrated in and then grew up in Jamaica. So you have a lot of, students that I grew up with in third grade, second grade, fourth grade, and they were from a lot of different countries and, their parents from other countries and they grew up in Jamaica. So I had a lot of friends with so many different backgrounds and we didn't see anything different, I didn't know any better. Until I start going around the world and I start seeing other cultures. But when I got to America, the area that I grew up in was Fort Lauderdale, and Fort Lauderdale is one of the biggest melting pots on the planet. You have every different culture you can think of. So my middle school, my high school was anything you can think of. My high school had it, right? And I was that one kid that when I went to lunch, everybody has like their friends that they'll hang out with. I was that one kid that will pop to this group for like 5-10 minutes, pop to this one for like 5-10 minutes. I didn't have like one set area. My whole lunch period was popping into different groups and making sure everybody was okay, laughing, joking with them. So upon doing that, you start to realize how everyone operates, right? So everyone is a little bit different. Some people are a little bit more out there. Some people are very reserved. So you get a chance to figure out how to speak their language. And once you get to language, that's when you're able to go ahead and really reach into them, right? And you can pull that person out that you need from them. So that's given me the upper hand when it comes to leadership, where you're able to see I call them your star players. Everybody on your team is your star player, and you get a chance to see their strengths and their hurdles, and then you learn how to actually go ahead and use the best of what they are known for, and then of course help them polish up what their hurdles are. So I guess being from those different backgrounds has helped me to shape into bringing forth those things from everyone.
I love that. So it looks like your formative life prepared you for where you're at now. So, with your commitment to unlocking peak performance, you were an athlete, you were striving to be the best of the best. How do you tailor your approach to empower individuals from diverse cultural backgrounds? And are these universal principles, or do you find it essential to adapt to each unique context?
Oh, so I would say, when it comes to humans, like, we're human in the first right? And I feel like we all operate a specific way,
Mhm.
and common way, right?
Yes.
And that's down to, speaking someone's language. But I do, I do generate on, specific principles. Giving respect, you'll get respect, right? So
Yes.
that's the number one thing. I respect everyone. If it's something that they believe in, something that I know nothing of, the first thing I'm going to do is start to ask questions. Okay, where
Mhm.
did this come from? Why do you guys do this? Oh, is it possible if I can, sit in and look at this? Or, oh, what are you eating? Where's that from? Can I try it? Oh, well, this is what my country does.
Yes.
Try this. So it's always a give and exchange for sure, and of course, giving respect. So I think number one in the entire world, I think what everybody wants is just some kind of respect. And if you
Mm.
go ahead and do that, that's when you can actually go miles and miles ahead of, the opposite, right?
Yes.
I'm a believer in treating everyone, the janitor as a CEO, right? The same exact thing. And I get that from my parents. I've
Mhm.
My parents treat everyone the same exact way. Um,
Yeah.
we're in a high-end facility. I'm talking to the dishwasher the same way as I'm talking to the owner of the entire establishment.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you know, you never want to think lesser of anyone because
Mhm.
you never know what someone's story is and how they got there and where they're going. And sometimes they just need a cheerful hi, hello, or a smile, and it can make their
Yeah.
day. So the number one thing I would say is just respect.
Mhm.
But I would
So
say.
you talk about champion energy in individuals and organizations. How does cultural immersion enhance this energy? And what have been some of the most impactful lessons that you've learned from the different cultures in this regard?
So being around, so I went to Africa. I went to South Africa, and I was able to see the Springboks play, and they were playing, against like the All Blacks, and then you start to see, what they're doing, the haka, and you're watching this happening. You're just like, man, there's so much energy coming from them, and they're so together, right? Uh, you start to see, when you go to a soccer game in Europe and a soccer game in South America, everyone's singing, everyone's chanting something, everybody's together, they're cheering on something, they're all together in one. Coming from Jamaica, and we had something called Sports Day in school where you have track and field, we had different teams. We made up different, songs, and we're singing and we're just cheering on each other, and you just see how all the different cultures, they have their thing that they have for each other, right? And it has helped so much because you get a chance to see how they do it, why they do it, where it comes from, tradition, right? And it's coming back from hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's still
Yes.
today. And that's something that's so important, and we need to teach that to the newer generations that are coming, to ignite that again in generations here that it's dwindling from, right? Is just bringing out that energy that you get from togetherness and that
Yeah.
love each other has in that moment. So I guess I would say through sport or through coming together, you get a chance to see when everybody has one goal in mind, how
Mhm.
around them stops and they're together in that moment, and the energy that you can bring when everyone's together. You're not looking left or right, it's just straightforward, everybody is all included. So that's more so where I would find it, is through those cultures and just bringing out that energy with togetherness.
It's interesting that you got that South African New Zealand experience, because I lived in New Zealand for 22 years and I know what the haka is like. I know how the Maoris kind of galvanize their energy. It's definitely a champion energy.
So
I can
good.
feel that from here.
You can feel
So,
that.
in your experience as a business strategist and leadership development coach, how does fostering a diverse leadership team contribute to an organization's success? And can
Ooh,
you give an example of transformation that you've witnessed or facilitated?
for sure. So when it comes to, my favorite thing is team building, right? Like I said before, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you have to have a team. Any
Yes.
success, any successful person, they have a team behind them. Always. If you ask any of them how they got there, it was some kind of team. Now, when
Yes.
expanding your business around the world, you're going to have to reach into different cultures. So you're going to have to adapt into different cultures. And the only way to go ahead and do that, you have to learn their culture. Um,
Yes.
now, the best way to learn their culture is to have people from said culture in your team to actually better help getting yourself into those areas. So when I speak about that, inclusion, once you have a specific set of core values that everybody is in line with, you get a chance to do some amazing things. Now, I was working with a company previously, and my team was so diverse. We had people from the Middle East, we had people from South America, from Africa, from Asia, from Europe and the Caribbean, and we had one common goal in mind. And once I realized that, you have to have no ego in the team, much better, right? They sit down with them, and you're having dinner, and you hear them, speak another language, and you're like, what language is that? And then they tell you, and you're like, well, how do you say this? Then you say it, and you say it back to them, and they're like, yeah, that's so good. And then you see them smile, right? And just that
Yes.
thing can bring you so much closer together. Knowing one or two words, what is their favorite food? Oh, I just went to a place down here and they had this kind of food, man. Hey, you want to go check it out? Now you're trying their food, and you
Yes.
just, if you're including them, or if you're willing to go out there and do that work, right, for your team, you'll see how much more, they would recognize that you're for them, right? Not
Mm.
just. And that's how you more so build your team morale, build a team, and then get into those different areas where you need to grow into. So definitely have to go out and find those players from those areas that you're trying to get into. Make sure
Mhm.
their language, and on top of that, make sure you are for them, getting to know them more, and
Mm.
immediately.
So, I read a book once that said there's nothing as sweet as the sound of your name on somebody else's lips. So a lot of times people don't want to pronounce difficult names. They don't take the time. And yet people who are non-English speaking, we have to learn, we have to adapt, we have to survive. And just that mutual respect in learning a language, a name, can really break down barriers when it comes to diversity. So I really agree with you there. So you emphasize collaboration and innovation in your work. How do you use diversity? Sorry, how do you see diversity playing a role in enhancing these aspects within teams, especially in a globalized work environment?
What I've come to realize is, okay, so you have no idea what you can do when you influence other people, right? And the influence other people have on other people, especially one of my buddies, his name is Philip Anglade, and one of his dreams was to actually help other countries or people in other countries to get out of different situations, in the lower income areas, right? And
Mhm.
he was trying to do that by teaching people how to trade on the stock market and, of course, in the Forex market. And I was telling him, I was like, man, why don't you just go over there and give out money because you make so much. And he goes, I'd rather teach them the skill because I don't know the problems that they actually have there.
Yes.
I'm not there to teach the problems, right? But they do, and they know what to do. But if I can teach them this one thing, they can go and multiply it there, right? So I take that more so in hand where you can, bring forth different ideas to different people, and then you can blossom, right? You plant a seed, and then you help them water the seed. You show them exactly how to garden, and then you let them go and they do their thing, right? And then of course you'll see forests happen, and on for generations and generations. And you just see one idea that you had in your head, and then you bring in this person because they know how to do this over here, and you bring in that person because they knew how to do this. And there's things that you don't know how to do that this person can do, but for a fact this person coming in will definitely tether to the forest so much more that you have just a multitude of trees coming in, and then you can do so much more with that, right? So the amount of that you bring in from different areas just brings such a diverse forest. And then you're looking at the Daintree like in Australia, right? So what you can do with just a little bit of this here and a little bit of this there, and you can do so much together.
So can you discuss a time when a diverse perspective or cultural insight helped you or your team where coaching overcame a significant challenge? And how did it change your approach moving forwards?
Okay, for sure. So for myself, I also used to do a lot of sales, right? And sales and marketing. And we had a lot of teams that we had to build in a short amount of time to get into a lot of different spaces around America for about 5 months at a time. And when it comes to inclusion, I have a specific thing that I've learned that I implement, and I teach a lot of my leaders to do the exact same thing. So there is 4 different types of people that you'll have on your team, and 4 different types of personalities that you'll have on your team. And the faster that's the faster you will actually go ahead and excel. You have, we call it, LH. So you have low maintenance, high volume people when it comes to like our sales team, right? You have high maintenance, high volume, low maintenance, low volume, and you have the high maintenance, low volume people. So you have those different personalities that are in there. And once you realize what you have in your team, then you know how to pair people with other people and get them immediately. Because once your team gets so big, a lot of times you can't reach out and touch each of them individually, right? But once you duplicate yourself onto other people, then you're able to go ahead and make more, right? So when it comes to specific times like that, I start to realize, like in our team, when you have let's just say Cindy Lou, she normally brings in, let's just say, like 3 sales every single week for the past like 6 weeks, right? Some leaders will kind of overlook that. Okay, Cindy Lou just brings in 3, right? Now this week, sudden Cindy Lou brought in 8 sales, and because you are so accustomed to her bringing in 3, you kind of overlook that. Oh, okay, Cindy Lou, just you continue. However, what you need to do is more so give recognition, right? And everything, recognition and gratitude for all stuff. So for the 3 that she brought in, gratitude, because that's 3 more to your team. But now the 8 that she brought in, she's probably looking for something like, well, I did this. I went out and did this. So you need to make sure you're including her. Wow, Cindy Lou, I don't know what happened, what's going on today, but you're a rock star today. Like, what's going on? Give us some of the sauce, right? That's what we used to call it. Give us some of the sauce. What are you doing? And then you have to see, like, well, I said this, or I was talking to this person, and because I spoke their actual native language, I was able to get this, and this. You're like, man, I need to learn some words from that language so I can do that too, right? So like you start to involve more people, and then you start to see, once someone is like peaking or like they're blossoming, you need to make sure you're on top of that and showing them recognition, because they say what babies cry for it, men die for it, and that's recognition. And once you start to show those things, you'll see just so much more you can do. You're climbing the ladder so much faster with your team, and recognition helps so much. Now, if I went ahead and just overlooked Cindy Lou, right, and she only had, next week she might not do it again. She might just go to less than what she was doing before. But but we gave her that recognition, and now Cindy Lou's thriving even more. Next week she came out and she did a lot more and a lot more, and it's just caused a domino effect within the team, because other people that were doing the same amount as Cindy Lou in the beginning is starting to see Cindy Lou up here doing so much more. Now they want to know what Cindy Lou's doing. Now you have the magic just starts to happen, because they also what it is, right? So always remember respect and recognition. It's so good.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about emotional intelligence in diversity. This is crucial in understanding and navigating cultural differences. How do you incorporate emotional quotient development into your coaching, especially for leaders working in diverse environments?
Now, as I was saying before, you have, 4 personality types that everyone possesses. A lot of times you have or two that's pretty dominant. So we make them into colors. So you have red, blue, yellow, and green, right? So you come to the reds. Reds are a lot more like the go-getters, the sharks, right? The ones that are, natural leaders, what they call them. Then you have the opposite of those. You have the yellows, and the yellows are like the tree huggers, like they love all the animals, and they just nature. And then you have the blues, and the blues like to have fun. They're very trendy. They're just the social butterflies. Then you have the greens, and the greens are like very analytical, and they want to make sure everything is planned properly. And they plan for traffic, right? So once you start realizing what everyone is, how to speak to them in a specific way. Because what I've realized is, if you're speaking to a red, you can't speak to a red how you speak to a yellow, right? So when you're speaking to a red, you're speaking a lot more direct to them. Your voice, your tone of voice is a lot different than when you speak. So if you're speaking to a yellow, it's a little bit more, laid back, more inclusive, and it's less argumentative when it comes out, comes out of your mouth, right? Because you don't want to scare somebody off. And they always say that first impression is the best one. So reading these things immediately, from their body language to how they sound when they first speak to you, you can tell a lot that immediately.
You need to actually learn how to read people. That's just fascinating.
For sure.
So my last question for you is, you are passionate about helping individuals and organizations to create a legacy of excellence. How do you believe embracing diversity contributes to this legacy? And what message would you like to leave with our listeners about the power of diversity in achieving greatness?
First of all, my island, Jamaica, right? We have a saying. They say we're little, but we're Talawa, right? So that means, we're from a small island, but we have such a massive influence around the world, right? We're little, and that goes a long way with a lot of different teams, a lot of different companies, a lot of different cultures around the world. So when it comes to like a team environment or a business environment itself, it could be a small business, it could be a massive scale. But if you're really trying to scale your business, you have to know like the influence that you have around the world, the influence you have on your team is going to magnify, right? So it's more so coming from you, then you duplicate that onto your team, then you duplicate that into the world itself. So if you're coming into the team and you're not bringing the champion energy, as I said before, then that's not duplicated onto the world. And then you're not going to be able to go ahead and bring forth, the fruits of the labor that you're looking to get, right? So my message for everyone is, number one, find your champion energy first, right? That's the first thing. Second thing, know and respect your star players on your team.
Yes.
Top of that too, make sure you're speaking their language. Go out of your way to actually include them more, give them more recognition, and find out what gets them going. A lot of people love food. A lot of people love sport. It's always a good way to go ahead and do those things. So make sure you're respecting first and foremost, and then open communication on everything that you're doing. And I promise you, you will go from here to here in a matter of like Houdini.
So you've just given us the magic sauce there. Easton, thank you so much for coming online today and sharing your knowledge, your wisdom with our community. This was an interesting interview. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katrina. I appreciate you so much. You have been amazing, and I honor your time, and I love the fact that I got a chance to sit down and hear your story, and just to see the impact that you've had on the people around you and the impact that you actually have on me too. So thank you so much for inviting me onto your amazing podcast.
It's an absolute pleasure. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Diversity Connector is a platform that brings you voices from people from all over the world, celebrating our diversity, highlighting the strength in having diverse people in your teams. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Easton, thank you again for the interview.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap, everybody, on today's episode of the Diversity Connector podcast. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our vibrant and global conversation. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a tapestry of diverse perspectives. Remember, every story you've heard today is a thread in the larger fabric of our shared humanity. So, as you step back into your world, carry these stories with you and let them inspire you to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity around us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these inspiring stories with more listeners. Do follow us on social media by looking for the Diversity Connector podcast for more updates. Until then, keep connecting, keep listening, and keep celebrating the beauty of diversity. This is the Diversity Connector podcast signing off. Stay curious, stay open,